On the line right now is the one and only Congressman Richard Hanna. Good morning, Congressman.
How you doing, Billy?
Did you know the answer to that? Did you know that he never said that during the...
I knew it, and I know it again now. Sure.
You know, I think we know that line so much.
They blame that for bringing down his campaign.
Yeah, I think we knew it so much because Dana Carvey said it so much. That was his big catchphrase, right? So, Good morning. Did you watch the debate last night?
I did.
And your thoughts?
A lot of thoughts about it. I was stunned to hear that Bush was, or rather Trump is hesitant to accept the results of the election. I think it's an insult to our democracy. It's fundamental to who we are, and there is no evidence, other than in his mind, that there's a problem anywhere. And there isn't any evidence in our history to support his allegations. So it's a concern, and I think people look at that and they say to themselves, this man is setting himself up for what looks like a big loss, and he's already making excuses. It looks downright cowardly to me.
Yeah. It is unprecedented. I know people are trying to say it's not. There's been certainly talk of rigged, the system being rigged, and we played a whole bunch of audio yesterday of Democrats saying the system is rigged. But this goes to a step that, politicians, and you've lived in that world, Richard. And
well, as a matter of fact, Miss Tenney has never conceded the primary with me, and she's a lady who said she was Trump before Trump. So if people like Trump, that's what she's out there saying. I mean, there is a certain decorum. I was disappointed that, frankly, both people didn't walk towards each other and shake hands.
Yeah, they never shook hands last night.
Not even at the end.
Not even at the end.
I did that with Mike Arcuri every time. Mike was a gentleman to me, and I tried to be to him, and I think I was. And there are standards we need to meet in this name calling back and forth. We deserve better than what we saw last night and what we've seen through this whole process.
Yeah.
Can you expound on that a little bit? What is the proper procedure if you lose an election? You're supposed to call. What is it?
When I called Mike Arcuri both times when I ran against him in advance, and we spoke afterwards. He was very kind to me when I beat him both, or the second time, lost the first time. I think that's the way it should be, and that's the way I was raised, and I think most people expect that. It's basic decorum, basic manners,
But that's I got to tell you, that's different though than. I mean, you've seen cases where people would, like last night, they didn't shake hands. That's unfortunate. But it's one thing for a candidate to be a bad loser and say, not give the proper phone call. But this is different. This is saying, 3 weeks before the election, saying, I don't trust our election system. I don't trust.
I mean, the guy's been doing this
difficult.
for 18 months,
yeah.
And he has made mistake after mistake after mistake. It looks like he's going to have a profound loss. Who knows? But within that context, it sounds like he's setting himself up as an excuse to lose, and he's finding a way to blame it on somebody other than himself. And, it's cowardly. It's gutless. And we'll have a fair election, I'm confident. There are 50 states. Each one of them has their own way of doing it, their own way of counting and collecting votes. It's impossible to rig a national election. As a practical matter, there's been no evidence of it of any substance in the past. So he ought to get on with this message instead of wasting time making excuses and, win or lose based on his own performance. And I think he loses based on his own performance. And it looked childish last night. So much of this name-calling and back and forth and bickering, it's embarrassing to watch.
Well, both sides. It's you think about some of the great debates in history, and then we watched last night and the previous too. It's just been. By the way, Mark wanted to come on, and I didn't get to him.
I want to say one other thing.
Okay.
Michael Steele, who is head of the Republican committee, said that that's a disqualifying statement for Trump. So it's not just Democrats saying it or the general public. There are a lot of Republicans who say this was a disqualifying statement. It's an insult to our democracy, and that it wasn't necessary to do.
Well, conservatives came out last night. Laura Ingraham came out. Lindsey Graham, of course, who's not a supporter of Trump. But so many others that they came out and said that. But because here's the thing, he did well enough in the debate where he didn't need to say that.
No, that's exactly right. He the first half hour was smooth.
Yeah,
I think he managed to get a few points across. Mm-hmm. Whether you agree with him or not is not the point, but it was more or less one of the more sensible, thoughtful periods, and then it just degenerated. It turned into name calling and him calling her a nasty woman, and all of that. It's unnecessary and it's undignified. But it's consistent with his character.
I want to talk
about denying that he harassed these 9 women when some of them actually have corroborating evidence, and as a practical matter, he's his own corroborating witness. When you listen to his own words, you have to believe that he's perfectly capable of this.
I do want to bring up one other issue, and that is the Supreme Court. And a lot of people are saying, listen, I'm with Trump because of the Supreme Court, and that question was brought up last night, and there's clearly a difference between the two. The fact of the matter, though, really is that the Senate would have the ability, as long as it stays in Republican hands, would have the ability to prevent a President Hillary Clinton from nominating a liberal judge to the court. They have that ability to do it.
Sure, that's fair. They can block that, but they can't do it forever. And we need 9 judges. We're one short, and you see the problems that causes. And we have checks and balances in our government. For my money, though, the Supreme Court is still, as important as that is, it's still not a reason to give Donald Trump our nuclear codes. I think he is profoundly unqualified, and he shows that every time he opens his mouth. And as a matter of fact, I think most people know I was the first person in the Republican Party to say that, and I have never, I know it upset a lot of people, I've never regretted that decision. And I want to say something else, that the people that I know supporting Donald Trump are good people. I've never thought otherwise. I just think that this man is a bad candidate for what they want. And people haven't seen raises in 20 years. Yeah. They're afraid. Their children aren't doing better. They see the world eating our lunch in many ways. And I get that, and I accept that, and I want to help them. But this is not the man who can do that.
I want to switch to the congressional race. Of course, you've not been quiet in that regard on the issue. 3 candidates out there. Seems to be close. We know that your former opponent, Claudia Tenney, is not somebody that you would support. What do you think here? I mean, we could be looking at
I can't support her for the same reasons I can't support Donald Trump.
Okay.
She's an unproductive extremist who has proven that her only interest is in her own promotion. She's a serial candidate who has, and I think she's extremely good at running campaigns, but terrible at serving. And why would people who are against term or want to have term limits support someone who's never had a job outside of government, in spite of her claims? I've spoken to Kim Meyer, I've spoken to Mr. Martin often, and they've called me and asked me to endorse them. I haven't endorsed anyone. But I do know this, that both of them will have an office in Utica. Both of them have been to my office. They're interested in hiring at least one of our people, and who's handled military affairs. And we've got good people. We got a great location, and I think that they both are well aware that this is a service job. It's about helping people one at a time, every day, and being committed to it, and showing up and doing the job.
Amen.
And what I know about Claudia is it's all about her.
Manaski.
I knew I liked him.
Okay, Joe. You're going to make matters worse for us. So
I'm sorry.
Sit right over there, and I'll shut your mic off.
I'm almost
I would ask you, I got to tell you, right now, the latest polling that we saw, Congressman, shows that Claudia Tenney is in the lead. It's close, though. And if you can believe the polls these days, it says it's very close. How will a transition? Have you thought about? I mean, I know the question was asked to Trump last night. Will you accept the results? And but have you thought about how?
Oh, of course, I've sent a letter to all 3 candidates.
Yeah,
and we will work with anybody we can, because the most important part of this job to me right now is continuing the work with the individuals that we have whose issues are important to them and important to me, and we want to have a very smooth transition where we'll have all our files in order, and whoever wins, Claudia Martin or Kim Meyer, we will be very happy to work through them with everything we have on our plate. They'll be offered our offices and everything that's in them, and my job is not to make this a personal thing. My job has always been to work for the 720,000 people in this district, not the 15 or 20,000 people that show up in a primary, although I work for them too. But the goal is, and we've had over 6,100 cases we've taken and carried to the end, and written over 250,000 letters, written 934 vote explanations, and I've made about 200 trips to Washington back and forth, and had about 80 town hall meetings. I would encourage anybody who gets this job to make this a priority, to help people one at a time, because Washington is dysfunctional as it is. If you care about human beings and the job that you have, you can still make it a rewarding job if you help people.
So, to be clear, even if something that you don't want to happen, Assemblywoman Tenney becomes our next Congresswoman, you will obviously accept that. I know it sounds like a stupid question, but, parlaying from Trump here, you'll accept it, and you will do everything you can to make the transition
Absolutely.
smooth.
That's my job, and I will not walk away from that. And I would like to think that whoever wins would feel the same. I'm not sure of that, but yeah, that's exactly what I think about it, and I know that Martin feels that way. I know Kim Meyer feels that way. My impression is that what I know about Claudia Tenney's offices is that's not her priority, but I can hope, and
right.
That's where I'm going with this, and we're set up to do that. And we've written a letter to do that, and that's my promise to the people that I work for.
Congressman Richard Hanna, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it. We'll talk again.
You bet.
All right.
Take care.